Hello and welcome to another video. I'm Everett Hoffman, and today I'm going to share with you one simple tip that you can use to enhance any of your photos. Now, I use this tip all the time. It's basically in almost 100% of my photos. Now, what is this simple tip? And that tip is photo assets. Now, when you're out taking photos of whatever it is that you're taking photos of, you should always, and I mean always, be taking asset photos. Now, what are asset photos? Asset photos are textures, bokeh, light hits, and pretty much anything else that you find interesting that you may want to add to a photo when you're editing. Now, it's best to take these asset photos in the same lighting situation as the photo that you're actually trying to get, just so the lights and the colors match up a little bit easier. But those asset photos don't just have to be used for that initial photo that you've taken. They can be used whenever you want for whatever photo you want to use them for. Now, on every photo shoot that I go on, I'm always taking asset photos. And because of this, I've been able to build a library of asset photos that I consistently pull from when I'm editing my photos. So say you're still confused on what an asset photo is. For example, if you go outside at night and you want to take a picture of a building. So you get that initial picture of the building, then you should look at your surrounding elements and take pictures of that. So if you look down and the road has an interesting texture, then you should take a picture of the road. Or if you look at that building over there and it has a brick texture, then go over there and take a picture of that brick texture. Or if you see these cool lights and you want to get some bokeh, then point your camera at those lights, make those lights out of focus, and take a picture of that bokeh. So those are the assets that I'm talking about. You can take pictures of all these elements around the scene. That way you can layer them in on that photo of the building that you initially took, and you might be able to get a different effect or just enhance that photo a little bit. And if you take these photos, you can use these on any of your photos in the future. They're just there as assets. Take this photo for example. This photo is actually a combination of 3 separate photos. The first photo is of the Polaroid camera, the second one is of bokeh, and the third one is of this wood texture. Now what I did was I took these 2 asset photos and I composited them onto the Polaroid photo, and I did it in a way that gave me the extra flair that I was going for. Now, how do we add those elements to our photos? And honestly, I think this step is easier than actually taking the photos themselves. So let's go ahead and jump into Photoshop so I can show you just how easy this is. Okay, so let's edit a photo that I edited last week. If you missed last week's video all about how to make objects float in your photos, feel free to check that out. I'll go ahead and link it in the description below, and I'll put it in the top right here. Okay, so we have our original photo open, and we also have our asset photo open in a different tab. Now the first thing we need to do is bring this asset photo into our original photo. So we can do that by clicking and holding and then dragging the photo up to the tab and then letting it go. A little pop-up window will show up, just click yes. And now that photo is on top, and obviously it's massive. So the first thing we need to do is shrink this photo down a little bit. So we can do that by hitting Control T or Command T if you're on a Mac, and this opens up the transform box, so that way we can scale this photo down. Okay, so now that we have it down to a manageable size, if you just click enter, then it's gonna get rid of that transform box, and now we just have our photo. So the next thing that we need to do is we need to go over to our blending mode, click this little drop down, and then go to screen. This way it allows us to see through the photo so we can see where we're gonna position our asset on the original photo. So let's go ahead and do that. Actually, I think I made the photo a little bit too small, so I'm gonna hit Control T or Command T just so I can size it up a little bit. Okay, so now I have the asset in the position that I want it, and this is where the real magic shines with these asset photos. So what we can do is we need to come down here and we need to click Add New Layer Mask. And we want to make sure that this layer mask is white. Now, if we hit B on our keyboard, that's gonna open up the brush tool. And with our brush tool, we have 2 colors. We have black and we have white. Now, black is going to conceal and white is going to reveal. Now, if you don't know which color you're using, it's always gonna be the color that's on top. You can switch between these two colors by hitting this arrow right here. You can switch back and forth, or you can hit X on your keyboard to switch back and forth. Now we're gonna be using black because we want to conceal parts of this asset photo that we don't want to show on the original photo. So let's go ahead and do that now. Okay, now that we've removed part of the asset that we don't want showing on the original photo, we're left with this part of the asset and this part of the asset. Now, this is probably passable as it is, but I kind of want to blend this asset into the scene a little bit more. And the way I'm going to do that is coming over to the opacity. Now, right now it's at 100% opacity. So let's go ahead and bring that down a little bit until it's there, but it's just not as noticeable. Okay, so 36% opacity, I think is gonna blend these two images together nicely. And now that's it. We have our asset dropped in, and to me, this just gives a little bit of depth and a little bit of flair on this photo. So let's go ahead and look at it before and after. Now before, it looked like this is just kind of like a dark area of the photo, and there's some negative space here. But to me, adding this asset in there just adds a little bit of magic to it, and it just enhances the photo ever so slightly. So that's how you're gonna add assets to your photos, and as you can see, it's a pretty simple process and almost takes no time at all. I think this step is super worth it because it just gives you that added flair to your photos. If you have any questions about this process, or if you're liking these tutorial style videos, let me know in the comments below. As always, like and subscribe if you haven't already. Skiddly bop that bell to be notified when I post another video. Thanks for joining me today, and I'll see you in the next one.